Well, Super Wildcard Weekend, Tybo did not disappoint
It
outside of
disappointed
one
me
game.
a little bit.
Really? What disappointed you this week?
Oh, I had two losses and pick 'em.
Yeah, no, you,
I'm
you did.
disappointed that the Lions couldn't win by 3 points.
Yeah,
That
looking at
really
it, Tybo
fucked
Tybo
me.
gained some ground this week. All right, Tybo did gain some ground. He and I both finished 3-2, while Sean had a measly 1-4 against the spread this week. I've clambered back up and have
Pick
tied
the
Sean.
Steelers.
Yeah, pick the Steelers. Don't know what he's thinking. I climb back up and have tied Sean with 136 total wins, while Tybo only lags behind by 2 games. He's at 134 wins. We've got we got four, uh,
How far under 500 are we?
not far, 136 and 141.
Okay.
So like we probably have to go undefeated through the Super Bowl to get
Right.
500 or one game above.
Right.
But we're right there. This is against the spread. It's not easy. Money line, no problem. We'll
Shit.
start off with games from Saturday night. We've already obviously covered the Chiefs game. If you haven't heard that, go find us, Bob and Bo Show, on YouTube. It was a YouTube exclusive. Go listen to that game breakdown. But the Browns versus the Texans, I was super surprised about this game, Tybo, because the Browns had the one of the best, probably the best defense in the entire NFL. And it wasn't just for like half a season at the beginning or at the end. It was consistent throughout that these guys were the best. They were easily taking the ball away. They were able to stuff any run, any pass. I don't think they allowed really over 17 points on average, which really helped out their offense, who had a lot of trouble with Deshaun prior to his injury. Then bringing in old ass Joe Flacco, they got Mississippi mud stomped by the Houston Texans. Like it wasn't even a competition.
Listen, you slipped something in there that is important to how successful they were in the regular season on defense and why they actually lost this game. The turnover battle, the turnover differential is a numbers game. They were highly successful in getting turnovers in the regular season. And in a full regular season to playoff, full NFL length season, that shit does not last the whole season. If you see consistent success in that, I mean, it's bound to crumble. Like if that is what's winning you games, you cannot rely just solely on that, and that's why the Cleveland Browns did not win this game. Their offense was serviceable but highly lacking, and their defense, while they played great, I mean, relying on just turning the ball over and the big play isn't practical in the NFL. That's how they were built. That's the way it went for the Cleveland Browns team this year. Um, and the high, I mean, say what you want about their receiving core, but I'm going to say the high-powered Texans here on offense were enough to overcome the Browns.
Let's give CJ Stroud his credit. Yeah, they've got a really, really, really good receiver in Nico Collins. They lost Tank Dell. Dalton Schultz has been up and down with injuries all season. They had running back issues. You started off with Damian Pierce, who who had a fantastic year last year until injury, came in this year and did not play well. So you turn to backup Devin Singletary, who was a third stringer in Buffalo and could never get the job done, turn into a very formidable RB1 in Houston. And
Devin Singletary definitely fell out of favor, but he at one point headed their like trio of running backs in Buffalo.
and he
I
averaged less than 3 yards a carry.
I don't think that's true. Uh, I think you're just pulling that out of your ass.
I think it was 2.6 yards per carry.
Anyways, Devin Singletary was enough to be a starting running back in the NFL, and I think he found a second life here in Houston. But it came at a good time for them because like you said, Damian Pierce wasn't seeing the success that he saw last year. I will say the running back their backfield as a whole started to have more success the second half of the season. Uh, Devin Singletary had to miss a game, and Damian Pierce got the starting nod again, and he had a decent game. It was close to, if not over, 100 yards. So their backfield as a whole did much better in the second half of the season, and um, I, I haven't looked into this, done my research, but I think they got healthier on the offensive line, or maybe
Correct.
some
Yeah.
switch was flipped. But yeah, they had way more running success in the second half of the season. They carried that momentum into the playoffs. And I truly believe that they can beat the Ravens.
Yeah, they did. You are right with the injuries on the offensive line. It started at the beginning of the season, and uh they got down to their third string offensive line, and it was still at that time in the midst of CJ Stroud not throwing an interception and you and Sean blowing it off. He's a rookie. It'll happen. Yada yada. It clearly never happened. You and Sean were both never on the train, and now you are. You're welcome.
I mean,
You're welcome.
the second
It
year
just desserts.
the second year jump is hard for a lot of guys. Okay, it doesn't always happen, so it's not always. After the first couple seasons of Patrick Mahomes, are like, oh, they got film on him now. They got film on him. They're gonna be able to play him. Like that's all possible. CJ Stroud might not repeat this shit next year.
He might not, and he totally could, because the rules in the NFL are based to help out the quarterbacks as much and the offense as much as humanly possible.
All right.
And CJ Stroud, I do agree with you. It is possible that they could go in and beat the Ravens. The defense is really going to have to step up, which, again, they only allowed 14 points to the Browns, but it is 50-year-old Joe Flacco who is either throwing 90-yard touchdowns or 99-yard interceptions. There's no in between. And he threw a lot of
The
interceptions for
defensive
touchdowns.
pass interference is what's in between, actually.
That's true. um, got unlucky. This was the one game that was bound to happen with Joe Flacco. You know it's going to happen a couple of times, and it's the one time that it happened
It
for him
was a
this
good
season.
little story, but it wasn't realistic for the playoffs.
We knew this was going to
AFC
happen.
had a what?
We knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was hoping they'd at least get to play the Ravens. I thought that would be cool story for Joe Flacco, but it's just not meant to be. CJ Stroud is coming for the crown.
AFC got hit hard at quarterback this year, and the actual good teams ended up making the playoffs. So I think maybe you might be able to swap the Dolphins for the Bengals, but the Bengals got the short end of the stick on that one. At least we know Miami can't play in cold weather, and that's nothing surprising. So